Okay, everybody, lesson 3. At this time, you guys should have a bunch of your credit reports and credit information, and you're also going to have a bunch of like your debt, your current bills, and your budget. And what I would do is I would put those into separate folders. I want to always keep costs low. That's one reason why we're doing this, is so that we can keep things at an absolute minimum. But it wouldn't hurt to go to the dollar store and spend $5 and just get some folders and some office supplies, maybe like a little rack to put the folders in, things like that, because that's very close to what I do here. Now, what I want to do is cover some mistakes, things that you want to avoid. We're setting up that foundation at this point. The first thing you want to do is dispute with the credit bureaus. You do not want to engage with your creditors and the collection companies just yet. We want to wait a little bit of time for that. We're going to deal with, in other lessons, the aftermath of what happens with the credit bureaus. Keep your fingers crossed. Let's hope that 90% of your items just come off in the first round. That happens a lot. Because there's just a lot of work that the credit bureaus have to do, work that you do not have to do. So document your efforts is another thing. I like to journal and calendar everything I do. I am constantly going to buy new folders and racks, to put the folders in, because I keep record of everything. For those of you that can afford it, certify your mail. Because that's just more proof of when you sent a letter out, what was sent in it. But we're going to teach you how to do it without, having to certify, because there's more cost there. It's a little bit more costly than just getting some stamps. But document everything, because you're creating these new habits of being organized. That's going to be a huge value in, just having better credit, and what you're going to do with having better credit. Another thing is, do not dispute online. Going online, you are giving some of your power over to their system. By doing it in the mail, it's your system in a lot of ways. It belongs to the public. You are a part of the public, and so in a lot of ways, the mail system belongs to you. It's federally monitored and so forth. But that's only because it's something that's accessible to everybody. Take advantage of the mail system. There's a component of time that's in there, but really, when doing things online, these companies with credit bureaus, they want you to give as much information as possible. Keep in mind, these are your rights. The burden of proof is not on you, like you've always been led to believe. The burden of proof is on the creditors and the credit bureaus. They're the ones that are documenting this information and giving this information to people that are in a position to receive it. The information has to be pristine. If it's not, it cannot be on your credit reports. And I want you guys to understand the theory behind that. These are your rights, like any other right that you would have. So, just keep in mind, have that mentality of, you need to prove to me that these items belong to me. Don't give them any info. I've been working with my dad on an item, and he came here to my office, and he said, here's this item, and this is why it's coming off. I'm going to explain to the bureaus this, and that. I said, don't do that. That's exactly what the bureaus need to verify the item and make certain that it remains. And he still disagreed for a moment, but I said, let me back up and just explain this to you. The information wasn't put there by you, it was put there by them. Therefore, they have to prove that the item is perfect. If it's not perfect, it's got to come off. As we divulge secrets that we use to get items removed, a lot of it is just not to make matters worse for yourself. When somebody does credit repair on their own, that's the biggest mistake that is made, is that they write such a letter that keeps the item on the bureau, on the report. Keep an item simple, tell them what they need to do, typically will result in that item coming off. Now, be realistic. This process, it does take time. We're going to teach you how to do this very quickly. In what we're going to teach you to do in 4 months, it would take a company that you're paying $99 a month to do in a year. It would take a year. That's how long they want to retain you as a client. We want to see your score in the 700s by that time, way before. So the process does take time, not a lot of time. You'll hear people say, I can get your credit score this high overnight. That's usually by manipulating your credit cards, ratios. We're going to teach you some of that stuff later on. There are people that get great results in 30 days. And most companies, they don't want to do that because then they lose you as a client. What we're going to teach you, for those of you that will get those kind of results very quickly, you'll get them. If you don't get results that quickly, then I can assure you there's a reason for that, and we're going to work on that as well. So take baby steps. This program I've designed to be just perfect for what you need to do at that given time. It's not too hard, it's not going to be too easy, but it's going to constantly give you something to work on and think about and get prepared with, okay? So again, a lot of the secrets out there just come down to one thing. Don't make matters worse on your own. Keep it very simple. This is going to assist you in not only getting items off, but getting your score up and you know, playing and manipulating those other factors naturally to get that approach. So there's a couple things I want to go over with you before I let you go. There we go. And we'll go from there. Federal laws to consumers. There's 5 of them that we've listed here. I believe there's a 6th law too that, you know, comes into play, but really number 3 here, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, is the one that structures the rules and the guidelines really for the entire industry of credit repair. This is the one that says that items have to be true and accurate, that the burden of proof is on them, that they've got 30 days, you know, to conduct an investigation, and it just sets, you know, the rules there that govern how this process works. So I would print that off and actually put that on in your office wall next to the dates and numbers of the credit bureaus. Okay. Now let's see here. So here's some do's and some don'ts that you can apply, a little bit of what I've already been talking about, but I have the stuff broken down so that you can retain it through reading it as well. And then, how in the world do I dispute multiple errors on my credit report? This is some great information as well. We're going to go over some of this next week. It's some pre-reading right now to get you guys geared for, and there's a little bit of a paradigm shift here, a change of thinking that we're getting ready for the disputing process. Here's random reasons why your credit score could jump. And, you know, pay attention to that. In a similar, but the other side of the coin is reasons why your score could go down. Now, I may be getting ahead of myself in this just a little bit, but sometimes I've had hundreds of clients call me and say, Jeremy, my score just went down a few points, or I don't even have a score anymore. What's going on? And, you know, the reason why that happens is because there's a lack of information that may have just been released, but it's not a bad thing. And why I say that is, let's say you're a 520, and we just took off 2 negative items and your score disappeared. Well, do you really want to hold on to that 520? Getting these items removed is going to make it easier for you to start establishing. You don't have those negatives that would possibly bar you from getting credit. You know, if it was a negative credit card, you know, the next credit card is going to see that in your credit report. You don't want that there. So I've always heard that belief that it's better to have bad credit than no credit. And it's my personal opinion, but I don't really buy that. I don't accept that. The fundamental rule, regardless of what it does, is to get all of the negative items off your credit report. We're going to go into some things later on that will fill in those blanks if that applies to you. Okay, so don't necessarily get too stuck and hung up on that, but print these PDFs off. Start to put them in that book that I was talking about, and the material at the end of this is just going to be a huge value to you and your friends and families as well. So I really do think about you guys each week. I'm excited to be growing and learning this with you. Get really excited. It's my favorite week next week. We're gonna get into the disputing. We're going to dispute letters and dispute items next week. I have a second favorite, and that's when we really start talking about the elements of your credit score, because the way that I teach that to you is you guys are fully knowledgeable on that subject. You're going to be able to counsel yourself and your friends in the future on the consequences of your credit score. So when you want to open up your next credit card, you're naturally going to think, well, that's going to affect 35% of my score here, and that's going to affect 30% of my score here, and it may be a ding on 10% of my score here, but I'm going to result with a 30-point increase in my score. It's really a lot of fun. So I did just get ahead of myself there, but it's exciting. So I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great week, and read through this material and have it a part of your core before we meet next week. Thank you.